Buddha's gifts. The first 5 Zen precepts and the 5 Yamas. Today's talk is about something simple but ever present in our lives. The foundation of ethical living in both Zen Buddhism and the yogic tradition. The 5 grave precepts of Zen and the 5 Yamas from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are ancient pathways for how to live with integrity, compassion and wisdom. Though these teachings arise from different cultures, Zen Buddhism from the traditions of both India and China, and the Yamas from the yogic lineages established in Vedic and later classical Indian thought, they do harmoniously blend. We could say they are siblings on the path of awakening. Both speak of restraint, not as repression or self-denial, but as a form of protection. Protection for ourselves, for others, and the harmony of the world around us. Each precept or yama is not a rule handed down from above, but a vow of conscious choice, to live in alignment with our deeper nature. And while they echo similar ethical values, non-harming, truthfulness, non-stealing, wise use of energy and clarity of mind, they may differ in emphasis. For Zen expresses these principles as precepts that arise in the heart of the present moment awareness. The Yoga Sutras offer the Yamas universal disciplines that form the first limb of the Eightfold Path of liberation. One tradition leans into emptiness and spontaneity, the other into balance and inner stillness. Yet both are practical and should be considered as non-judgmental on ourselves or others. And I wish to emphasize here, non-judgmental of ourselves or others. Do not look upon another person and say or think they should not be doing that. The precepts and the yamas are our own vows to harmonious living. They are not do's and don'ts. Both understand that our spiritual practice doesn't begin on the cushion or the mat. It begins in our relationships, in our speech, in our everyday actions. Before we seek enlightenment, we must learn how not to harm. And perhaps most importantly, both traditions view these not as commandments, but as offerings of love. They are not imposed, they are freely embraced. They are not about perfection, but intention. Not about morality in the rigid sense, but about liberating ourselves from the causes of suffering for ourselves and for all beings. As Thich Nhat Hanh once said, to practice the precepts is to practice being truly alive. And Patanjali reminds us that when these yamas are perfected, even wild animals become peaceful in our presence. So let us explore these 10 together, one pairing at a time, and listen for the shared wisdom that arises when Zen and yoga meet in the heart. So the first grave precept is abstaining from the taking of life. The first yama is ahimsa, meaning non-harming in thought, word or deed. This is the foundation of all ethics, the bedrock of spiritual life across traditions. To abstain from taking life is not only to avoid acts of violence, but to cultivate reverence for all life, seen and unseen, human and non-human, large or small. It is a commitment to non-injury and to compassionate presence. Ahimsa deepens this principle. It is not merely the absence of violence, but the active presence of gentleness. It asks us to look at how we speak to others, how we think about those we dislike, how we treat our own bodies, and how we respond when we are hurt or afraid. Every moment becomes an opportunity to choose care over reaction. Ahimsa invites a warrior's courage, not to attack, but to protect, not to control, but to listen. Try to listen instead of arguing. To live by this precept is to say, I offer you the gift of life. You are safe with me. In my presence, you will not be harmed, not by my hands, my words, or my judgments. I will not speak over you, diminish you, strike you, or abandon you. In my silence, in my actions, you are met with kindness. This vow is not passive. It is an active guardianship of life, a fierce tenderness that says, I will protect what is vulnerable. I will not use my strength to destroy, but to shelter. To practice this in daily life means pausing before reacting in anger, speaking truth without cruelty, treating animals, insects, and ecosystems with care, softening your inner critic, seeing the sacredness in the life that is not your own. It is said that all other precepts rest on this one. Where ahimsa is upheld, harmony will follow. Where it is broken, suffering is sure to spread. Thus I offer you peace. I offer you presence. And I vow to live in such a way that my very being becomes a refuge. And now we look at Zen's second precept, to abstain from taking what is not ours or not given. Whereas the second yama is asteya, non-stealing. We often think of theft only in material terms, but this precept challenges us to see a little bit more subtly. Have we taken someone's time without asking? Have we interrupted peace for our own agenda? Have we claimed attention, recognition, or energy that wasn't freely offered? Asteya is not only about refraining from theft, it is about embodying contentment and practicing restraint in a world that is addicted to taking. It is the wisdom of enough. It is knowing we are already whole and don't need to acquire or manipulate to feel full. In a deeper sense, this precept also asks, what are we robbing from ourselves when we live from grasping, fear, or greed? Asteya teaches generosity in place of entitlement. It invites us to walk gently in a shared world where nothing is truly owned, only entrusted. And so I offer you the gift of trust. By abstaining from taking what is not given, I honour your boundaries. I honour your space, your time, your energy. You can trust that in my presence, what is yours remains untouched unless freely offered. I will not steal what you do not give. Instead, I will give freely of attention, of presence, of goodwill. I will live with gratitude for what is offered and let go of all temptation to take what is not mine. The third grave precept is to abstain from immoral behaviour. The corresponding yama is brahmacharya, traditionally celibacy, but more universally wise use of energy. This precept is about the sacredness of intimacy and the integrity of our desires. When we misuse intimacy through manipulation, coercion, fantasy, or carelessness, we cause harm, not only to others but to ourselves. We fragment our energy and we cloud our hearts. Brahmacharya doesn't demand repression, but it calls for reverence to relate to others with clarity, respect, and maturity. It asks that we channel our life force not into craving, but into compassion and awakening. This precept is about honouring relationships with partners, friends, students, and strangers alike. It is about being trustworthy in our affections and mindful with our power. I offer you the gift of integrity. By abstaining from sexual misconduct and misusing intimacy, I honour the sacred space between us. I will not use affection to control, nor attraction to deceive. You are safe with me, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I will meet you with respect, not desire disguised as care. In my presence, you can trust that your dignity is upheld, your boundaries are honoured, and your worth is never in question. And from here we move on to the fourth grave precept. The abstaining from inappropriate speech. And while the fourth yama is satya, truthfulness, truth is more than fact. It is alignment between what we say, what we mean, and what is real. To speak truthfully is to speak with care, clarity, and courage. Not everything that is true is kind, and not everything that is kind is truthful. But Satya asks that we walk the middle path, honest but never harsh, real but never reckless. In Zen, inappropriate speech includes gossip, slander, manipulation, flattery, and idle chatter, all the ways we use words to avoid vulnerability or to inflate our ego or to divide others. Satya is also an inner practice. Are we lying to ourselves? Are we performing or posturing just to be liked? Can we be real within and without? Together they form the ethics of compassionate truth. And so I offer you the gift of honesty. By abstaining from false or harmful speech, I make a vow to be real with you. I will not manipulate, flatter, deceive, or withhold the truth out of cowardice or control. You can rely on my words to be sincere and my silence to be established in wisdom, not avoidance. In my presence, you are free to be real because I will meet you with honesty and expect no performance in return. The fifth grave precept is to abstain from the ingestion of intoxicants and mind-altering substances. The corresponding yama, though at first glance appears different, is aparigraha, non-possessiveness, non-grasping, and non-attachment. This precept is not only about what we consume through the mouth, it is about what we cling to with the mind. We intoxicate ourselves with more than alcohol or drugs. We lose clarity through greed, addiction, control, opinions, distractions, validation seeking, even spiritual materialism. To be intoxicated is to be pulled away from the present moment. To grasp is to live in fear of not having enough. Both lead us away from freedom. Our parigraha teaches us to hold lightly, to live simply, to let go of what we do not need, be it a thing, a thought, or even a story we've told about ourselves too many times. What we release releases us. When we abstain from intoxicants, we choose clarity over chaos. When we let go of possession, we choose presence over compulsion. And so here I offer you the gift of clarity. By abstaining from intoxicants and practicing non-attachment, I stay grounded and present. You can rely on me not to act from confusion, craving, or clouded judgment. I will not lose myself in grasping nor try to possess you or anything at all. In my presence, you will find awareness, not intoxication, trust, not control, spaciousness, not clinging. So these 5 precepts, non-harming, non-stealing, wise sexuality, truthfulness, and clarity, provides us with real freedom. Whether we call them precepts or yamas, they are not laws handed down from above. They are the natural expression of a heart that is awake. They are not limitations, but gifts. When I live this way, I am giving you the gift of safety, honesty, and respect. And when we all live this way, we create a world of trust, compassion, and mindfulness. So today, may we take the precepts not as burdens, but as blessings and gifts. May we walk gently, speak truthfully, love wisely, and live with a clear, open heart. Thank you.